at this time is Mr. Chris Cash, as they like to call him. He's going to be doing our MLB baseball work for us here on the hit list. Thanks for joining me, Chris.
No problem.
Now, the first question I have is talking about the Yankees and the Mets. They haven't been doing pretty well to start the season. Let's talk about, first of all, the Mets. Rumors were swirling around that head manager Willie Randolph was going to get the boot by the front office. What's going on in Queens right now?
Oh, right now it's not going well. There's turmoil going on. You could definitely see it. The team is underachieving. A team that's picked to win the NL East once again, make the playoffs. If not, make it to the World Series. Their pitching has been inconsistent, or their hitting has been inconsistent. As proof of last night, Johan Santana pitches an amazing game, gives up only a run or two, and they can only come up with one run. They lose 2-1 against San Diego, which is a horrible team this season. And if you can't beat San Diego, who are you gonna beat? You can't beat Philly with that. And Willie had the turmoil going on early with the Mets' own broadcasting company.
Sorry, New York.
Sportsnet. That's right, SNY, Sportsnet New York, and there were rumors swirling that he was going to be replaced a couple of weeks ago, but he had his talk with the Wilpons, the owners, and they seem to be on the same page as of right now, but we need to wait and see. There's still 4 months left in the season. Who knows? And National League, anything can change.
Now let's shift gears to the American League, AL East in particular. The New York Yankees haven't been doing too well with new head man Joe Girardi. Talk about what he's done with the pitching. I've seen the headlines, Jabba Chamberlain coming out the bullpen to be there to start last Tuesday. Didn't do so well. He still got a standing ovation from the fans. But talk about what's going on in the Yankees at the bottom of the division right now.
Yankee Land is a very underachieving team. This team should be at least, in worst case scenario, second place. They really should be in second place, if not first place, right there with the Red Sox, but they're not. The pitching has been inconsistent. Wong hasn't won since May 2nd. Andy Pettitte, as we all know, is a second half of the season starter. So he's off right now to another rocky start. Mike Messina, he's been the only consistent guy. He's got 9 wins. So the veteran, of course, leading the team. But then we have Phil Hughes and Ian Kennedy. They have not provided anything. These guys are supposed to be the future. No wins, a bunch of injuries. Both guys are out with injuries right now in the DL. As for Jabba, it's still a work in progress. That was his first start in the rotation. So, we have to wait and see. They'll try to build him up, hopefully 4 or 5 innings for the next start, which will be tomorrow. But if they're really going to push for a playoff spot, they got to do it now. The AL is a lot harder than the National League.
Now let's take a look at the Central Division of the American League. The Detroit Tigers, they did a lot of moves during the offseason, bringing in Dontrelle Willis. Isn't it Miguel Cabrera they brought in too, right?
Yeah.
They brought him in. So they did a lot of moves, and they were projected to finish maybe first, and they've kind of just, the only word to say it is sucked. They've kind of just sucked. So what's going on in Detroit and Detroit town?
If we thought that the Yankees and the Mets were underachieving, these guys are the worst. These guys were predicted before the season started to go all the way to the World Series and win it all. They had the pitching, they had the hitting. They haven't had either work in any game during the season. These guys go in and out. They're a very streaky team. If they can't win with their pitching, they're going to power their way through, but it's been a disaster. If they don't hit, they score maybe 1 or 2 runs, and that team, that's a disaster with Edgar Renteria, Gary Sheffield, Magglio Ordonez, Miguel Cabrera, Placido Polanco, Ivan Rodriguez. These guys, I'm naming 6 All-Stars, and they're not hitting. They're barely even hitting. And then they're pitching. Dontrelle Willis was, we all knew he wasn't going to be, an ace. But
coming into the American League.
Yeah, coming into the American League after he had, pretty rocky seasons in Florida and the National League. But, at least maybe a 4th or 5th starter. But he hasn't even been that. He got sent back down to the minors. He's been injured. I also think still Detroit made a mistake by that trade with the Miguel Cabrera, Dontrelle Willis trade. They traded away too much, I think, in my opinion, especially their superstar Cameron Maben. It's a shame. And a team like this really should be, the best team in baseball, but they're in the cellar right now.
Now, talk to us more about the surprise teams, as you would say, that's been doing their thing. Tampa Bay, surprisingly, or not now they're called the Rays, not the Devil Rays anymore. The
That's
Rays. Talk to us about the surprise team in the American and the National League at top of their conferences.
Well, definitely, in my opinion,
leagues.
Tampa is the surprise team of the American League right now. They have a great winning record. They're a young, feisty team that really they're hungry. They want to win. They did a whole bunch of good trades. They traded away Delman Young, who's had some issues off the field, and they got back a really good pitcher in Matt Garza from Minnesota, and a good shortstop in Jason Bartlett. And they've been a great team. They've been able to keep up with the Red Sox. They're only a game and a half behind.
What about the National League? What's going on there?
National League, the disappointment, in my opinion, has to be Colorado Rockies.
Okay.
The defending National League champions, they've been horrible. They're in last place in their division. It's something that you'd expect from the San Francisco Giants, but it's just been a very bad season for Colorado. Surprising team.
Yeah, surprising. Let's get into it.
It's really been just about the same, really, to tell you the truth. Everybody's playing their part the way it's supposed to be. There's really no surprises. Arizona's right where they're supposed to be. They're winning. The Mets and Phillies are battling it out. Florida probably has to be my surprise team, though, Florida Marlins. They're a good young team. They have a winning record as well. They usually trade away a whole bunch of talent after they start a winning season, but now they're actually starting to sign people. They just signed Hanley Ramirez to a long contract, so hopefully they're probably going to keep their young stars and build a future around them.
Final question I have is, do you think the surprising teams will make the playoffs, or do you think the predicted teams in the Yankees and the Mets, do you see them and the Tigers, do you see them making a push for the playoffs in the second half of the season?
I definitely see our local teams getting in. The Mets trying to make a push. I think they might fall a little short, though, in the end. I think the Philadelphia Phillies, I think they still have a little bit of a mentality edge after last season's debacle. The 5-17 record in September was a hard blow for the Mets and their fan base.
Yeah.
And
they choked.
yeah, they choked big. And I doubt they're going to make the playoffs this year. I think Philadelphia makes it back and leads the NL East. As for the Yankees, as we all know, they're a late season. They're a second-half team as well. These last few years, I still have them making the playoffs as a wild card. But right now, it's looking dicey. 30-31 is not going to get it done. They really got to pick it up. As for the surprise teams, Tampa's going to fall off towards the end. I don't think they have enough. I think their young pitching is going to give out towards the end. Same for Florida as well. They're not going to make it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this was Chris Cash with our latest MLB report. He'll be back next week. We would like to congratulate the Detroit Red Wings for winning the Stanley Cup Finals. So that's all we have here for today on the Sports Hit List. Tune in next time as we'll discover varied topics in sports and possibly some sports entertainment. This has been Carl Coulanges for the Sports Hit List. Take care.